Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Last week, former President Trump held a rally in Crotona Park in the heart of the South Bronx. And as President Trump was holding this rally in Crotona Park in the heart of the South Bronx, in one of the poorest areas of the Bronx, there was a clash between coordinators for credit for the event. Now, in this clash, we had Latina Brown, a former candidate for New York City's 17th Council District, claiming that she pitched the idea and spearheaded the pre-rally organization efforts, and she accused Gavin Wax, a white male who was president of the New York Young Republican Club, of depriving her and other community leaders of color credit for coordinating the event. Now, Gavin Wax on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast said that he was the one who floated the idea of a South Bronx rally to former President Trump in December, and now we have these two individuals who are not really part of the foundational Black American community out here fighting for credit of who was the one who brought President Trump to the South Bronx. Now, when it comes to these individuals, I really don't care who brought former President Trump to the South Bronx where I live. No, what I really care about is who is representing foundational Black Americans and a Black agenda. Now, Latina Brown is a Black woman who's the one who's making all of this noise about not getting credit for coordinating this event. However, Latina Brown is not a foundational Black American woman. No, Latina Brown is a Jamaican woman or a Jamaican descended woman, and this foreign-born Black woman basically is not looking to get credit for bringing Donald Trump to the South Bronx because she's concerned with the issues of foundational Black Americans. No, what Latina Brown is concerned about is getting this credit, because what Latina Brown really wants is a job in the Trump cabinet if Donald Trump gets elected in November. And this is the kind of person that foundational Black Americans need to watch out for, because this individual basically is a foreign-born tether who's out here bootlicking the Trump campaign and bootlicking the Trump campaign, because basically what Latina Brown wants is not to empower foundational Black Americans. No, what she wants to do is grab power for herself. And this is the kind of person we really need to watch out for, because while Latina Brown says that she was the one who pitched the idea and spearheaded the rally for this event, she basically wasn't doing it again to put foundational Black American issues in front of Donald Trump or Donald Trump's campaign managers. No, she was just doing this because what she wanted to do as a tether was attach herself to whatever political party and create a covert contract for herself between her and people in the Trump campaign in an effort to get herself a job in that administration if Donald Trump got elected. So Latina Brown basically wasn't acting in the interest of foundational Black Americans. No, Latina Brown was acting in the interest of herself, and that basically shows us foundational Black Americans that skin folk ain't kinfolk, And we really have to do our research and do our homework and check out paperwork on people like Professor Black Truth has talked about. We really have to look out for who we're getting involved with politically, because that can impact what type of tangibles we receive in exchange for our vote. And Latina Brown basically is one of these foreign-born blacks who's tethering herself to President Donald Trump's campaign in an effort to be a buffer, and be that buffer that keeps tangibles from coming to foundational Black Americans and foundational Black American communities. Because as she was out here looking to get in the city council, again, she wasn't looking to get tangibles for foundational Black Americans. No, she was looking to gain clout and favor for herself. And in her vanity, she's looking to gain clout for herself by being able to take credit for this Trump rally, looking to gain clout as related to building herself up, and build herself up at our expense. And again, this is why we have to be very careful who we involve ourselves with, or who we allow to be speaking as related to politics. And we have to understand that people like Latina Brown do not speak for foundational Black Americans. And this whole situation basically shows me why, as foundational Black Americans, we need to make sure that we understand why it's important for us to have a Black agenda, because a Black agenda would have been the easiest way to deal with someone like Latina Brown and prevent her from going out here and looking to try to go out here and make bootlick and gain favor with political candidates at our expense. Now, when it comes to Black people, the late David Carroll tried to tell us how the political process worked in many of his classic masterpieces, and David Carroll tried to tell us all that this is why, when it comes to politics, you have to have a Black agenda. He told us many years ago in many of his classic masterpieces why you need a Black agenda, because the agenda should be the thing speaking to the candidate, not individuals looking to be opportunists, to get opportunities for themselves at our expense. And people like Latina Brown get opportunities because Black people basically are fragmented. And because we are fragmented, what happens is that we're so busy fighting each other that these outsiders, who like Latina Brown, who is from Jamaica, come and tether themselves to candidates. And as they tether themselves to candidates, they go out here and make deals for themselves. Meanwhile, the Black community remains poor because Black America doesn't have an agenda that everybody is together on. And that's what David Carroll tried to tell us all. He tried to tell us all that first you go out here and you hammer out your agenda. You hammer out the talking points of your agenda. And then after you hammer out your agenda, you then go find people to represent that agenda. And then you run those people on the ballot. And as you run those people on the ballot, since everybody's together, that person is assured an election to that office, and that person is directly accountable to the people. And if they don't bring back the tangibles from the agenda to people, such as the earmarks to bring money back to the Black community that people paid, and bringing policy that benefits Black people, then you vote that person out because they didn't meet the standards of the agenda. Every other group out here understands this, but sadly when it comes to Black people, because we're so fragmented, we go out here and have no agenda for our votes, and people like Latina Brown have no agenda, and again, they're mercenaries going out here for themselves, and as they go out here for themselves, women like this basically are out here getting theirs and screwing the community because the community isn't united. And since the community is not united, what happens to the community is the community winds up continuing to be poor, where all the earmark money and all of the grant money and all of the things that are part of the federal budget don't go to the Black community and foundational Black Americans. No, they wind up in the pockets of tethers like Latina Brown and are taken outside of the Black community to enrich other people at our expense. And on the flip side, when you have guys like Gavin Wax, president of the New York Young Republican Club, that also means your money is going to go out of the community. So that means that 100% of your money is going to go out of the community, whereas black people will go out here and continue to vote for candidates who will give them absolutely nothing at all, and give them absolutely nothing at all because they did not have the foundation of a black agenda where all the black people were together on the same page, and on the same page as related to the bullet points of that agenda and the goals that were supposed to be agreed on and set on by all the members of the community. That's what really happened here with Latina Brown. Again, Latina Brown was basically able to circumvent the entire black community, and now she's out here filled with ego, looking to go out and get credit for this event, looking to get credit for this event, which basically wasn't going to benefit black people in that neighborhood at all. No, while many black people were in their feelings about how bad the situation was in the South Bronx, and I've been living in the South Bronx all my life, I know how bad it is here, but the whole thing is the people here are messed up because they don't understand political process, nor do they understand the subtle politics transpiring around them. And since they don't understand the subtle politics transpiring around them, they get caught up in their feelings about things like a Trump rally, whether it be on the right or the left. And as they get caught up in their feelings, they don't really see how they're the ones who are going to be the big losers, while people like Latina Brown go out here and get rich at their expense because they are not on the same page. And since they're not on the same page, they wind up not getting their issues addressed, which is what they would have had in a black agenda. Because the critical question I have to ask regarding Latina Brown is, when she was out here coordinating this rally, did she ever speak to anybody from the Trump campaign regarding the bullet points of a black agenda? And chances are, she didn't speak to anyone regarding the bullet points of a black agenda. No, Latina Brown probably never spoke to anyone regarding a single bullet point of a black agenda because she was primarily, again, as a Jamaican, she's outside of the black community and basically doesn't see the issues of foundational black Americans as important because many foreign-born blacks, and I'm not saying all, but there are quite a few, don't really see the issues of foundational black Americans as their issues, and they don't really understand our issues as related to many points. I mean, I doubt that Latina Brown, as, again, a Jamaican black American, or whatever she is, Jamaican descent, because she had a Jamaican flag on her Twitter, again, is out here talking about the importance and the need of an anti-black hate crime bill, something that is sorely needed to protect our rights from many of the race attacks made by rogue police officers, race soldiers, and suburban commandos. I mean, we really need an anti-black hate crime bill to deal with these individuals and set a hard boundary to be able to curb their just egregious behaviors. I mean, people like these rogue police officers, race soldiers, suburban commandos, these Karens, these people need to be punished. But again, somebody like Latina Brown wouldn't care to talk about that issue because she's looking to gain favor and clout because she sees most foundational black Americans as lazy and doesn't really see our issues as important as her being an individual who's going to go out here and pull herself up by her bootstraps by stepping on all of us. And I wonder if Latina Brown even thought about talking about reparations, where foundational black Americans would get a check cut for all of the opportunities we have been denied in this country ever since we're forced to come to it. Because black people, we do need to be compensated for all the years of things we've suffered in this country. I mean, we have had to deal with being set back by 400 years of slavery, 150 years of Jim Crow, and the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps people like me from being able to compete in the job market. I mean, I myself would love to get a reparations check because I was denied access to the job market for years due to current and ongoing discrimination. But Latina Brown, she ain't going to talk about that because she's a strong, independent, foreign-born black woman who basically is going to say she pulled herself up by her bootstraps as an individual, not understanding how white supremacy basically used her as a buffer to keep people like myself, who are foundational black Americans, from being able to get work, and how they could go out here and passively hire a foreign-born black person like her for a job, and then go out here and say they hired a black and a woman and a foreign-born black, and that basically allowed them to meet the diversity quota, and again, allowed them to be able to keep the system of white supremacy in place because they would have a bootlick being a buffer for them, and having this bootlick be a buffer for them allows them to keep foundational black Americans from competing and being a part of the American economy. And again, she's in a place right now where she's being a bootlick and a buffer, again, out here looking to get clout and credit for herself as related to the vanity of her ego, not understanding how important it is for our agenda to be represented more than her individual self. That's where the problem with me with Latina Brown really is. Again, she doesn't understand that when you're in a place like this, the agenda should be a priority, but the sad part is when it comes to the black community, we really haven't focused on an agenda, and even worse, we're not focusing on the people who are out here looking to try to represent us and trying to represent us to all these politicians. This is where new black media is important, because new black media will let you know that this person does not represent us. And when it comes to someone like Latina Brown, she does not represent me. She does not represent foundational black Americans. She does not represent a foundational black American agenda. And she's not talking about bringing tangibles to black people. No, all she wants is her job. And again, all she wants is a job with the Trump administration if Trump gets elected. And I wouldn't put it past her to start pandering to Biden if she got the chance. But the whole thing is that all of us other foundational black Americans, our needs aren't getting met, and we're not getting our tax dollars back to our community in the form of those earmarks or those tangibles, because we've got these bootlick buffers who are in the way of the process. And again, David Carroll tried to explain the process to everyone so that we could get these buffers out of the way, because getting these buffers out of the way is essential to getting us what we need. And again, we foundational black Americans, we have to understand why we need to go out and really vet who is so-called representing us, because it's clear from Latina Brown's whole motives. This was all about vanity. This was all about her ego. This was all about her and her narcissism. It was not about looking to go out here and meet the needs of foundational black Americans, and not looking to out here to fight for our interests, because again, this rally at Crotona Park basically was one big vanity stunt, basically done by the Trump campaign to basically stick it to Joe Biden. But the people who are getting it stuck to the most are people like me who lived in the South Bronx. We're the ones getting the biggest stick at the end of this whole thing, the biggest screw job, because while that rally made a lot of people feel good and sate their frustrations, it did not address the issues that foundational black Americans have as related to our issues, and it didn't really talk about bringing tangibles to foundational black Americans in exchange for our vote, because the black agenda was not represented, and people who were chosen by the black community weren't represented to represent the black agenda. No, when it came to this whole situation shows us all why we need a black agenda, because it's a black agenda that will be the thing that makes sure that we get the tangibles that we need as related to getting paid on election day. Because again, election day is supposed to be a payday, and it's supposed to be a payday where our candidates bring us back tangibles in exchange for our vote. But what we have here is somebody out here to impede our business process and keep us from getting what we're supposed to get in exchange for our votes. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find the books of the SJS Direct universe, such as the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, and my black sorority novel, The Thetas, or my black vampire novel, Eternal Night. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find those books at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me be able to make more videos taking bootlicks to the barbecue, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.